So this is the login page to the demo to the platform. The platform is hosted on Google Private Cloud, which has three distinct advantages. The first is that you can actually uh, detail where you want your data, your physical data, to be stored. So you can choose the bucket. If you're a US company, you can choose the US. If you're a UK or Europe company, you can choose, your local jurisdiction. So there's no cross-border data transfer jurisdictional issues. So I think that's the first thing. The second advantage is, of course, it has all of the right certifications or security certifications you'll be looking for. Now, once you have your login credentials, you can sign in and you go to the front page. Now, you can ingest your contracts the way you want. At the moment, for the purpose of this webinar, we've ingested 5 contracts, which we've given anonymous names for. And these names have been anonymized on purpose due to the public nature of this webinar. And then how you ingest the contracts up to you. You can just say upload contracts and upload the contracts here if you want to. You can add in a zip file. You can connect this to your existing contract management system. I think that would work too. So what you want to do with it is really up to you. And it's how you ingest the contracts is, again, completely up to you. And so there's many ways. You can use this as your contract management system if you really want to, if you don't have anything else, or you can connect it to your existing CRM system or your contract management system, or upload the documents just manually if you want to. However you do them, once you have your documents, this is where the functionality comes into play. We have 3 functionalities. We'll go through each of them one by one. The first functionality is a search functionality. So I'm going to search for provision. I'm going to put in something which is not on the list I haven't searched for before. So let's put in non-solicitation. I click on enter. Within a fraction of a second, it has found the non-solicitation clauses. It's sorted them out by agreement name, which is excellent. And also you've got the provisions. Now the key thing here is that because I did the provision search, I get the provision and only the provision. So there is no filtration required. From here, you can also see that for this Master Services Agreement 1, the non-solicitation clause was actually the non-hiring of personnel clause. And because it was there and it was a non-hiring of personnel clause, it still looked at the text of the clause, worked out it was a non-solicitation clause, and found you the results. And so now we can export the search from here. If we export the search, it exports it straight away into a Word document, which I will open up for you so you can have a look. And here you go. It's the agreement name, the clause name, and the clause wording all in one document for you. So this functionality is amazing for doing searches of your existing contract database. It's fantastic for doing your due diligence. Imagine you're buying a company or you're doing a due diligence on an acquisition, and you have to look for your termination or your liability provisions in your data room. It would now take you a fraction of a second, and you can export the search straight away. So it really helps there. It also allows you to search for compliance purpose, for general trend analysis purposes. It allows you to search your existing contracts for the right provisions. And again, there's sort of 3 key things to this functionality. The first is that you can do a provision search, and with the provision search, you get only the clause and nothing more, nothing less. There's no filtration required. If I change this to an all search, I just want to show you what it would provide in your normal average contract management system when you're doing the keyword search. This is what you'll get. For non-solicitation, you'll get non-solicitation clause, you'll get the termination rights clause, because it probably has non-solicitation there somewhere. You get the other termination provisions, you get the remedial plan process provisions, you can have consequences, all of these things. If I can change this straight away to a provision search, you get only the provisions and nothing more, nothing less. So that's a very key advantage where you don't have to filter it. The second advantage is, of course, that you can export it straight away, like we showed you. And the third key advantage is that it actually sorts it out for you by agreement name, by clause name, and you can go ahead and use it in the manner you want. Now, in terms of the search facility, there's many ways to do this. We did a global search. You can also limit the search. So let's go to the advanced search, where you can say, I want a particular folder I want to do it for only a particular documents. So you can expand or restrict the search in the manner you want. You can also do the same local search here for the folder you have open. So you have many ways to expand or restrict the search. The second functionality which we're looking at is the risk analysis functionality. So the risk analysis functionality is amazing. It's really an amazing thing. It's very unique to the marketplace. No one else can do this. So I'm just going to go through it and show you how it's done. So the first thing we do is we have risk rules. Now I have some standardized rules. So I'm just going to go to MSA. I'm going to go to services and show you, for example, what the low risk rules are. So these are the rules I have. I've said if it contains all of these provisions or this wording, then I consider it as a low risk clause. Now, the key thing is here for you guys and for your organization, this is completely customizable. So I can change the condition to whatever I wish to do so from the list. I can change the wording to whatever I wish to do so. I can change the and nor to whatever I wish to do so. I can even say I hate all of these default rules and I want to add all my own rules and add as many rules as I wish to do so and add the text here. And so this risk analysis or risk rules are completely customizable to your own organization. You can also add as many more risk groups as you want, as many document types as you want. So once you've added your risk rules, the platform will now read your rules and analyze the contract. So let's say I want to do a payment and taxes analysis. I click on analyze, it will quickly tell me whether it's a high, medium, or low risk in these contracts. Let's just say I want to do, let's take a few more. Let's say I want to do intellectual property, liability, termination, confidentiality. Let's just click on a few of these, non-solicitation, governing law maybe. And I can analyze the risk. And again, it will find the provisions where they are present. And so this was a TME agreement. So this does not have liability provision in here. So it found the ones. So the ones which are included in the documents, it will find them. It will provide you with a risk analysis, low, medium, high. And these are again based on the rules which you have either accepted for our default rules or you have amended to make sure that it's in accordance with your own organization and law firm's risk appetite. You can even do a risk analysis for everything. So if I just press on everything, it will provide me a risk analysis for every single clause, which is there for all the agreements there. So you can do that too. So that is the second functionality, really great for adding value for law firms, really great for adding value to existing client database. For in-house lawyers, really amazing to do risk analysis of your existing contracts, where you can now have a look at it and say, okay, my service was a high risk, so I'm going to go to my CIO and tell him that he needs to put more people on these particular accounts because I've just realized that there's a high risk there. So great functionality, which you can use in either way. The third functionality is your contract markup functionality. So in here, you have your standard provisions, which you can, again, add. You can use our default standard provisions, or you can add your own. There's three ways, or two ways really, to add your standard provisions. Either you can just delete this and just cut and paste your own wording, which you prefer for the provisions. And again, you can add as many document types as you want. Let me do one thing. Let me just click on I'm going to put my own name in as a document type to show you how you can add document types. So really easy just to add a document type. From here, I can add a provision here and start. So add as many document types as you want. The other way in which you can insert provisions is to upload your standard documents, and the platform will automatically take out the provisions from your standard documents and fill them in as your standard language or your preferred language, your standard provisions. So I think that's also a really interesting thing to do. And with that, now, once you've got your standard language in there or using our default, now you can start doing some really fun stuff. So if I want to edit this master services agreement, let me just click on edit. It would take about 4 seconds for it to read the whole agreement. And this is let me just have a look. This is a 95-page agreement. It's read in 4 seconds. It's told me, first of all, what's missing. So I don't even need a checklist in my head. So if something is missing, due diligence is missing, I want to add it in. I press add. It is now added in the due diligence clause at the end of the contract. Data protection is missing. I want to add that in. I add that in. It's added in the data protection clause for me. And this is again taking from your standard wording or your preferred wording. It also tells me red, yellow, green. So, for example, green. Here's a green. I'm just going to find you a green. A green means it's completely acceptable. Don't worry about it. A red means it's unacceptable, you need to review it. And a yellow means it doesn't match with your standard language. However, maybe the platform is telling you it's completely acceptable, you don't need to worry about it. If I want to edit any of the provisions, do I have to scroll through the contract anymore? No, not at all. I can just click on the particular provision I want to edit. The language from the agreement is on the left. My preferred language is on the right. From here, I can either replace the provision if I want to. I can add in things. I can type in here. Let me just delete that. I can even cut and paste from my standard language. I can do whatever I want to edit it the way I want. And when I save it, it will save this as a track change in the documents. Let me just cancel that because we want to save it. So it's amazing how much time this now saves. So let me go to a different document, which will be easier for us to see in this kind of webinar. So I'm going to do a non-disclosure agreement. I like to start with the MSA because we are the only people in the world who can do this kind of analysis and this transactional work with an MSA. But for this webinar, let's have a look at the non-disclosure so we don't have to scroll up and down. It's all in one page. So for the non-disclosure agreement, it read it in about 2 seconds. It showed you what the provisions which are acceptable or not. Again, for severability is missing. Okay, I want to add that in. I add that in. It's added it in. I can also now, let's say I want to review any of these provisions. I can just, let's say, confidential information. I click on it. Again, my contract language is on the left. My preferred language is on the right. From here, I can edit it the way I wish to do so. So really easy and straightforward. So basically, your time saving with our contract review and markup is threefold. The first is you never need a checklist in your head. It's telling you what's missing, and you can add it in straight away. The second time saving is you never even have to go through or scroll through the contract anymore. Anything you want to edit, you just edit it from here. Let's say exceptions. My contract language is on the left, my preferred language is on the right. I can easily edit it. Your second time saving. Your third time saving is that your preferred language, you don't have to remember what was a good clause, a good language. It's right here in front of you. So now your editing is really easy. It also means that as it's picking up the contract language for anything which you click or edit on, you never have to worry about the fact that you've missed a line somewhere. You've got all the language in front of you. And of course, the fourth time saving is that once you get used to the platform, you'll ignore the greens, you'll ignore the yellows, and you just look at the reds. And so you're not having to review every single clause in the manner you wanted to. So with those four time savings, you can save and export it. When you export it, the key thing is that it would export as a track change Word document. So you can export it, email it straight away. It would export as a track change Word document. So I think that's really a great functionality. In our test, we tested it with 8 lawyers. The time saving went down from 4 days to look at an MSA to 1 hour and 35 minutes. That is the time saving you can achieve. So imagine your transactional team busy doing contracts. Now they can do it very, very quickly. So I think this is an amazing product in that way. Now, those are the 3 functionalities. The key thing to suggest to you is that with the platform, you get all 3 functionalities in one platform. So you don't get one or the other, you get everything, and you can use it as much as you want. There are no long-term commitments. We don't seek for you to sign up to a 6-month or year contract. It's a month-to-month contract. Actually, if you cancel, partially through the month, we will refund your money for the rest of the month too. So month-to-month commitment. We don't charge you per user or usage. So therefore, if you have 20 people who want to use it and you want to use it extensively, you should go ahead and use it extensively, because actually you're not getting charged any extra for that. We don't charge you by the number of contracts you put in it. You can put 100,000 contracts in here. We won't charge you any more. That is really critical. And finally, I think this is the key thing, that the benefit you generate from it is going to be much greater than the cost of the platform. And the cost of the platform is really the cost of one paralegal, or the cost of one paralegal. So it's a month-to-month basis and easy for you to use. Now, the other thing I really want to do is, we've done a quick demo. I just want to show you very quickly, just for the sake of this webinar, our full licensed platform. And you can see these agreements. This is my version of the platform, and I use this to test out some use cases. A lot of these agreements are just are just kind of my agreements for my own company, which I'm using. So I'm happy to share this with you. Uh, and again, in the full version, there are two main differences. A, your search functionality is so much greater now. So you can choose, even in your local searches, you can choose the document types, provisions, and even from the name of documents. The second functionality, the second difference is that actually, as you see, the UI is much better. If you want to upload contracts, you can add zip contracts, you can add contracts and other forms too. The third piece is, as we were talking about, if you want to add standard provisions, you can now literally just add your standard documents in here, and you can upload a standard document, and it will take out your provisions for you and fill them in, like I did previously. And the fourth thing is, when you're uploading contracts, one of our customers said to us, what happens to schedules? Well, we've now fixed that for you as well in our final version. And this, again, this is my version. I use it to play around with just my own company agreements. But if there is any agreement which has a attachment, it will give you a red dot. So if you go on that, it will say attachments. If you click on attachment, it will ask you to attach the file. For any agreements which already has an attachment already incorporated within it, and I know from experience, because it's my own agreement, this one does, you now, as it reviews it, you now get a include reference functionality. So this is a clause. It's telling me that in this clause, there is a reference which is included. So if I click on that, it tells me Exhibit B is referenced in this clause. I can click on the edit button and it will show me Exhibit B. And so I can edit the exhibits as I would edit a standard language. So this is kind of some additions we've done to our licensable version, which wasn't there in the demo, which I wanted to share with you. And as you can see, this version, it has, I use it to just test edge cases and to use scanned documents too. And so it's really great. And I quite like the UI because it's nice and blue, and I quite like the way this is structured. So we're going to go out of that and go back to the demonstrated version of the platform. And you can see by the two that the UI has changed slightly. Now the key thing is also here that the platform can pick up PDFs too. So if you're trying to analyze PDFs, we have OCR technology which you can do. So you can also add a PDFs for those of you who may ask that question. And so it can actually pick up any documents you wish to. So whether they're PDFs or doc files or anything else, it has the ability to look at all of those. So that's the platform. That was our functionality. I'm now going to stop sharing my screen. So thank you very much for joining. Thank you so much. Goodbye.